On today's edition of Kelly and Company, wow, what a busy show! Raising awareness, piece by piece. That's the slogan for the Aenigma Puzzles Company. We're going to learn all about their new launched accessible puzzles they've got. Also on the show today, Lindsey Mazza changed her whole life when she leaned into her disability identity and power. We find out how she did it in a little while on the show. Stand by as we assemble our show for you.
This is Kelly and Company.
As I mentioned, a busy show, lots of voices, lots of faces. If you're checking us out on YouTube, if you're riding along, subscribe to the podcast. We appreciate that too. And I welcome in Ramya Muthan.
Hello.
And Nazreen Abdul-Majid. Ladies, all set for a very busy show?
Yes.
Always.
As you were starting the intro, I was going to sneeze, but I held it back because, I used the pineapple thing. You guys know about the pineapple?
I don't
say
remember.
pineapple in your head so that you hold back a sneeze.
No, that doesn't work.
Chase the sneeze away. It works.
I agree, Niz. No,
it works for you?
It works.
You agree with that, Kelly?
No.
If you don't use it often, if you're not like a chronic sneezer, then it works. Yeah, it's the novelty, right?
So hold on a sec. So if you don't use it often, in other words, if you don't use it rarely, you think about it a bit more, so it might work. But if you use it all the time, your body says, "Are you kidding me? Achoo!"
Exactly.
But you know what works?
Sneezing,
when you have hiccups and you swallow 3 times,
that
works.
I've never heard of that.
That always works for me.
I've just heard of holding your breath. That's all.
Holding your breath?
No, that doesn't work. I kept trying to hold my breath and that's exhausting. But I think swallowing 3 times always worked for me. Never worked for my sister, but I don't think she knows what she's doing.
So just swallowing air. So just swallow air. Like just gulp, gulp, gulp.
Yeah,
like
the concept sounds like it could work, but it hasn't. Also, I've never heard this advice before, so maybe we'll see.
Really?
I think it's a matter of focusing on something else. And relaxing yourself, especially with hiccups, because you just tighten up so much and you start anticipating it's coming again, it's coming again, it's coming again, it's coming again.
Yes.
So if your mind goes to something else,
that's so
not
true.
Food, because that's
what I want to know
the
though.
Problem.
How do people come up with the word pineapple? Let's say to think about this is going to stop sneezing.
I'm not sure why it was pineapple, but that's the only one I've heard. Where people talk about how to keep your sneeze away, but I was just more concerned that like as soon as the show started, Jordan goes 10 seconds and then I'm like, oh snap, I gotta sneeze. Why is it always like that?
Well, it's either that or clear your throat,
you're always anticipating
right? Or you'll try to clear your throat, so the music starts dun, 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 and you're in the middle of or right, and we don't want the audience to hear that. This is a professional program. No. You know what I wonder? Pineapple, like Nazreen asked, how does that become the word? I wonder, have you ever thought about just trying that on social media or out there, finding the way that you could just say, if you say the word Zed, it will keep you from sneezing, and just send that out, and then wonder in years to come when someone says, I heard if you say Zed works for me. What? Like you just wonder.
Like that?
Yeah, that's it. How do you do it? Wow. Think on that. And we'll see what we come up with. Nazreen can go on social media later and just put out the word Zed will prevent you from sneezing or something. Some people would say Zido, right?
I know. I was going to say Canadian to say Zed. Can we pick another word or letter?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nazreen, would you get us started today and welcome in our first guest?
Absolutely. So award-winning author, triathlete, dancer, and Dora Award-nominated performer Vivian Chong invites audiences into her dating, romance, and self-discovery world in her new solo performance, Blind Dates. Welcome, Vivian, and it's so nice to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Vivian.
Hi.
Hey, Vivian. Nice to have you on board.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a bit about your show so the audience knows?
We all want to be loved, and I'm fascinated by the idea of human connection and finding deep love. So not just meeting people, but get to learn about their life, what makes them tick, what's their hobby. I want to know everything. And we have only one lifetime to do this. So as I'm going through my process of meeting people, I learned so much about these people and also about myself, and creating different connection with each person. And that's what's fascinating me. So that's why I write a show. It's all about that.
And it's just you, right? Like you're the, first of all, it's a solo performance. So that's one part of it, but you composed it, you wrote it, you're performing it. So when did it go from like a cool idea? Also, what was that cool idea? Was it the title? Because Blind Dates already is like, what is this going to be about? So when did it go from a cool idea to a fully fledged performance?
I always create and make art. So from writing to dancing to composing music to doing comedy, all the time I'm creating. And I started this idea, the journey of creating this show, about 2.5 years, 3 years ago. And you might just only hear my voice, but I have a big team behind me with Theatre Past Mirai. So our crew composed of so many people who are stage managing, doing lights, sound, creating special effects, and I bring in my talents, merge with everybody.
Wow. I love that. And Vivian, so many people don't, they hear, a solo show and all the people that you need behind the scenes. But even in your development, you don't just make the show in a box. Can you talk a little bit about that process for you, and how long is this show? But how did you rehearse? How did all that and the direction go? Tell us behind the scenes what went on to build up to this.
So I'm currently at my rehearsal space. So for people that are looking at the video, behind me is my set. So I have a set designer and my Theatre Past Mirai crew building this whole beautiful set for me. So as I'm sitting, the behind me and under me is grass. These are astroturf grass, and it has a really good texture. So my process of creating the show is I start designing the sound. What do I hear every day if I go out on a date? What are the sounds that I will hear? And what are the things that happen in the dates that make me think about my life? And then from those nuances, I start writing lyrics. And then from there, I start writing melody. Sometimes it's in my head, sometimes it's on an instrument. And the process happens not just one day, but every day. Mm-hmm. And how do I divide my time is I would do a bit of like music composition, and then I go off, write a bit about my script, and then I go out on some dates or meet some new people, and I get inspired. Then I lay in my bed and I think, and then I go back to my computer or going to my instrument to start capturing these feelings and things that I thought about.
Wow, that's a very interesting process, especially when you talk about sound. And I know all of us as vision impaired people in one way or another, that may be what people think. Of course, you start there. But Vivian, you have so much experience in entertainment, art, and the different things you can do, playing, dancing. Can you talk a little bit about, with this show, what's the percentages roughly that we would say, that one would say are music and the dance quotient and dialogue? How have you found as you work it out, how many songs might we hear? Is that the way to think about the show? Is it structured that way?
Yes, it's structured that way. I am fully blind. You can come to my show and you will just be listening the entire time. And if you're not listening, you're definitely relaxing and enjoying the music I compose. You won't have one moment that you think, what is happening? Every moment, something is there for you, either in sound or in silence. Everything is thought about. And even if you come to the pre-show, as you walk through the room, you would have a chance to feel the texture of what we built here in the set. So really, really well thought out show with sound, texture, richness of human stories.
And it's interesting because you're talking about human stories and how other people can relate to the experiences of blind dates and how they would, how you can take those stories and put it into your shows. But then it becomes very personal, right? That's where you're merging it. So the idea of people and blind dates and romantic and love experiences, and then your own personal kind of relationship to the experiences that you've been through, and that's what's coming out in your show, as you said, the sounds, the sights, the feelings, the places, the people, the experiences all together. So what kind of, I guess, how do you decide how personal to make it? Because I've been to your other shows and it's a lot of fun. Like there's a lot of song and dance and just you coming out in those shows, which I find to be really like entertaining, but also quite authentic. So do you ever kind of say, okay, but I want to make this a bit more arm's length because it's not just about my story? Or do you always try to go with that attitude of authenticity and your own experiences?
To answer your question, first of all, you can be reached by me. It's arm length towards you where I stand if you're in the front row. It's a very intimate space we have here for this show. It's in
literally
the backspace. Yeah, it's in the backspace of Theatre Pass Mirage in an intimate room where people, if you extend your arm, you can touch each other, but I don't encourage that. And we're here to build intimacy, but through layers of sounds and human story. And what I share usually at my show, especially this one, is deep connection. It's all the nuances that we might overlook or we dismiss, because world moves just so fast. People go, and dismiss and reject and intake another person. But this show is making you think how to slow down and be more authentic in your way of connecting with others.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
I love that.
I'm curious too, working with the team. You know, I understand you want to make sure people understand I'm not doing this alone. But what experiences have you got working with each team is so unique? And what do you think you've given those guys? Because they sound, you know, as you were getting ready and everything like that, and the things you've said so far, very supportive.
The team, the process, it's all about growth. As a theater creator, I grow with my team, and especially I look up to my director for nuances, insights, what we hear from each other, and we bounce off idea between my team and me. So the process of creating something, it becomes bigger than myself and bigger than my dates. And I don't know whether one of my dates will come to the show. And if they do, they will enjoy listening to what happened afterwards.
Yeah, they might give you the, hey, that was me. And they might also be slinking out saying, well, that was me. I'm going to get out of here. I think
Taylor
that's beautiful.
Swift isms, right? Where people are like, was that song about me? Because she's always talking about some breakup or another.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, Vivian, because like you say, it's so big and it's wonderful because you're that artist that these folks know with your experience, what you can bring to the show. And it sounds like everybody's excited of what this show is going to come. And I know so many of us in the art community, we look forward to that. You want to be judged on that work, but you also know you're confident in yourself and the people around you are confident in what you're bringing to the table. Every artist wants that.
Yeah, and I think every member in our vision community wants that, because we all have so many potential in us, but sometimes it really takes people to work with you to discover all that. So I really thoroughly enjoy my creative process to discover my full potential and let it shine, because we all want that.
I love it. And also, although you explore a lot of the depth of humanity, there's just so much fun. I remember, I think it was from your show Dancing with the Universe, where there was a doggy song that you sang with your ukulele that was stuck in my head for literally months. I would just wake up with the song in my head and I'm just like, Vivian, what have you done? So I can't wait for the next song. Do you what? You wrote more?
I wrote more for you so you can replace your headspace with new stuff.
That's it.
Amazing.
That's right. What do they call that, Vivian? The earworm? You got all sorts more earworms for. Hey, Vivian, what happens after Theatre Pass Marais with the show? Any plans to take it elsewhere, out of Toronto or anywhere?
Oh yeah, this show has longevity. We already planned a tour to Peterborough and then maybe more. Keep you posted.
Lovely.
So yeah, keep interviewing me and I'll bring you all the latest about my show and where it goes.
That's the way. Oh, Vivian, that's wonderful. And I got to know, because I'm just that theater nosy person. In your mind, Vivian, do you already have your next creations, I'll say plural, kind of working on or in construction in your mind, on paper or on computer?
As you know, I am an author, I'm a playwright, so yes, I'm definitely always writing. Everything about my life is good material, so I'm always writing. Just it's an exercise for a writer to keep up their skill. So yes, I'm always writing.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Vivian.
Yeah.
Break a leg.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah, I hope you'll be singing my song after you come.
Oh, we will. Yep. We know we will.
Yeah.
We have proof.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for
You can
having
catch
me.
Vivian Chong in Blind Dates playing at Theatre Pass Marais from February 13 to March 9th, 2025.
Wow. I think I did good, ladies. I didn't get into all the little things I like to know, all those little, I would have liked maybe a bit more of a description of set, but I wasn't sure all what people could see and things like that. But there's just so many of those little things you like to know about. But I noticed with the interview, she's so excited and what a positive energy.
She's so passionate.
It's true. She is, and she is true to her word. She's always exploring, right? Whether it's the writing or the directing or the connecting with the audience or the singing or the dancing. Like, she is multifaceted, and she has a lot of fun.
Yeah, and so many other things.
Being creative.
Well, and if you look at her life and the things she's been involved with, there's so much for her to share, and she enjoys sharing. She worked with me on an episode of my Blindsided show years ago, and it was so much fun just to watch her process, just like anything, to get herself ready and to be ready. And she knows what she needs to do when you're doing something before your show or whatever, and you have your hour and a half to get ready, or if you're sitting around waiting to go on set, if you're filming, you know what you need. And I think that that's so important, and that's what I found so wonderful with she's confident, she understands the people at Theatre Pass Marais will make sure she has what she needs, but she'll deliver for them what they need to execute such a great show. You can tell, and I like that confidence in it. It's so it's what, and I think when she mentions the community, we're all looking for proper representation, but we're also looking for do you understand I know what I'm doing here, and people to say
exactly.
I know. I'm not here
levels.
to sell.
Yeah.
I've already done all that. I know what I'm doing. I'm not wasting your time. I'm producing. I'm doing what I'm doing to turn out the best show for that audience. And I love that. I liked her feel of that and the confidence, because it gives you confidence. If you're going to spend the money to go see the show, if you're working with her, it gives you confidence, and everybody needs that. Really wonderful chat. Check out the show if you can, folks. And if you want to email us, do it at kellyco@ami.ca, kellyco@ami.ca, and call us at 1-866-509-4545.
A group of students at Junior Achievements Southern Alberta, we're going to learn about what that is, have come up with the way of making classic puzzles as we know them accessible for the blind and low vision community, which I'm very excited about. And to tell us more about this, we have two of the students joining us, Sifran Liu and Pearl Zhang. Pearl and Sifran, nice to have you on the show. Thank you so much for coming on, because we want to know about we want to know about how you've made these puzzles accessible, because it's another thing for us to do with our fidgety hands, but also we want to know about Junior Achievements Southern Alberta. So can one of you first tell us about what that is?
Okay. So Junior Achievements, or JA, is a 20-week program that you can take, like, whether you're in high school from grade 9 to grade 12, and it's kind of just like a way or students to learn like business skills or entrepreneurship skills, stuff like that. Yeah.
That sounds great. And do you focus in on one particular project, or do they kind of let you do a lot of different things? How does the course run?
So basically, it's a group of students, let's say like 15 to 30 students, and a bunch of mentors. And basically, those mentors are just there to like help the students on the right track. But all the product ideas, creating the products, are all managed by the students themselves.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. And
learning on the job.
And let me understand. Is it a project taken on by parts of the class, the people that are involved, or is it always done kind of as a whole group agreed upon project with junior achievement?
Oh, sorry. It is a whole group like agreed upon project. So pretty much it's like a bunch of students from like all over the city in like one venue, and like so in our group we have like a bunch of people from like all sorts of different high schools. So which is like a nice opportunity to have, because you usually wouldn't like interact with those students otherwise.
No, and that must be interesting to settle on ideas and kind of, this is what we're going to do, and especially with people you don't know, you're getting to know them through the process, right? And is that kind of set up any challenges, or is it surprising that it goes so well?
I'd say the latter, actually, because our group is like working like pretty well. Because we've heard some bad things about
from years gone by.
Other groups, yeah. But it's going like everyone like works really well together, and everyone like has like this level of mutual respect. That's really nice.
I guess that's part of the entrepreneurial spirit as well, right? You go all in, you do what you can, but sometimes the idea or the project just bombs, and then you just go back and try to reflect, okay, what did we not meet here? Why didn't this click or connect with people? Is that part of the learning curve?
Yeah, that'd be valuable.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely very challenging because all of our company funds are all student contributed. So JA has us do a common share kind of contribution, and all of that money comes from the students. Wow. So everything in our puzzles is student funded. Everyone contributes a share amount, and then we list our names on our shareholder report. So it's been very interesting learning the ins and outs of business and how difficult it is to make a product work when you have so little to work with.
Yeah, and of course nobody wants it to bomb, but your money has got to go where your mouth is, and the hands are ready to work and do it. It's such an investment, and I'm not sure it's always been like that. I kind of like, I didn't realize that about junior achievement in the years ago when, the few months ago when I was younger, I didn't realize that some of it worked that way. So really, fedora's off to everyone involved, because you're jumping in and somewhat taking a chance as to what you said about the past. So that's pretty incredible. And I'm probably a little sad, because I'm sure some people it deters from being involved, and if they don't have that inkling money to invest.
Yeah, we try
is
to
that
keep
part of it? Fundraising. Okay.
For our company, it has to be all funded by students, or else we have nothing to work with. We try to keep the shares as low as possible, but Junior Achievement has systems set up for students who might not be able to contribute share money.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
So somewhat like level playing field, but you're still trying to learn that investment part of the process as well.
And I guess you're investing in, like you said, the shares of it. There's a level of responsibility and understanding going forward business that you get from that as well. So I think when I look at it that way, I guess there is that positive to that model for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
do we want to talk about...
Tank.
a little bit, right? You get to do the Shark Tank style show at some point, and that idea is terrible.
At some point, yeah.
Oh, man. Let's talk about the puzzle. Because if we go down that road of Shark Tank and Junior Achievement, somebody's going to say, what the heck are you guys doing to us? Want to give us a little bit of an idea where the idea for the Aenigma's Puzzle Company came from, especially when you look at making things accessible? Who would like to field that question?
So our company, it kind of started out as a very rough kind of start where a bunch of students came together and we all really didn't know what we were doing. And basically what happens at the beginning of the program is the mentors ask every student to contribute an idea for a potential company. And there was one student, they couldn't be here with us today, but they were the one who initially pitched this idea. Because their father was slowly losing parts of their vision to the point where they couldn't drive anymore, they asked their daughter to kind of go into junior achievement and potentially come up with some puzzle idea, and they kind of brainstormed together, and then she brought that idea to her company. We did a lot of brainstorming and we thought on it. We initially went with a separate idea. It was stationery, and we were working towards producing that kind of product. But over time, our mentors, they saw the potential in producing Braille puzzles and the corporate social responsibility that could bring to the community. And then we just did a complete 180 and changed our product about in, I think, November. Yeah.
That's really cool. So you really did go from a place of we got to brainstorm, because as you say, from your words, you're like, we didn't know what we were doing. So
but the idea grabbed them.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's not always the case, right? Like, we know that sometimes, or like the stories we hear about more often is people being like, I have this brilliant idea. Now I need to figure out how to make it logistically possible. So for you, the organic process started with the brainstorming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting.
What about it?
Because you think about the passion for that story, from where that story comes from. I'm certainly sure people in the class, there's that time you start saying, hey man, this could be useful and it's different. I'm sure that went over well just on the fact that this is different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the one thing that our mentors really caught on to, because when we were doing stationery, it was kind of dwindling because we realized that the market was really oversaturated. It was difficult to make a kind of impression. But then once we started thinking about Braille puzzles, we thought about the purpose, I guess, of junior achievement is to create something to demonstrate entrepreneurship and ingenuity. And I think Braille puzzles really brought that to our company, because not only were we doing something just completely different, we also had to, I guess, teach our company members Braille, had to start from basically zero.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting because so many things cost so much when we talk about a niche. Like audience, if you're saying, well, we can make these, but how many people, is it worth making it? The cost versus the sales that we might get, that's another level for you guys to think about. I'm curious of the mentors. Who are when you refer to mentors, what walk of life, where do they come from? Are they from the business community, or are they teachers across the city?
They are also, I believe they went through junior achievement before. So our company has 3 mentors in total. One of them is a liaison for junior achievement. So for our 3 mentors, they've all been through junior achievement before. They've made their own company, so they have that experience to be able to teach us through the process. One of our mentors is actually working so we meet at a venue called Echo Park, and one of our mentors is just somebody who works in the building above us.
Nice.
When you work with mentors, I'm always so curious about exactly what people tell you. Like, do they give you advice, or do they try to help you learn it on your own? Because you don't want to spoon feed everybody, and your experience is not everybody else's. What was the vibe like around the mentorship?
I'd say it was like a mix of both. So like there's they obviously can't spoon feed you, because the entire point of JA is for like students to like come up with the ideas themselves. But yeah, they definitely do give a lot of advice and like a help just on the side of just like how to streamline your process, or how to like help you to come up with ideas faster, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. But,
can I jump in and ask? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
All of our meetings, so we meet every week on Tuesdays from 6 to 9, and all of those meetings are student organized, and the mentors just kind of sit back and observe.
Okay.
I'm curious here about how they're made and the material. I'm just picturing them. Can you tell us more about that?
So they're made from 100% recycled chipboard. And so basically, I have an example right here, but this is like, we still kind of need to like tweak this one. But pretty much, yeah. So the designs are first printed on one layer of chipboard, and then if you can see the thickness here, this is one of the failed ones. But yeah, if you can see the thickness here, 3 of them are then glued together. And basically what happens is after they're glued together, they're laser cut. And but before any of this happens, the braille is embossed on the front.
Oh,
that looks stunning.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
like
really
the
cool.
colors are like teal and it's just so vibrant, so pretty. Love it.
How many different options are there for puzzles that you've made so far?
Oh,
3.
good question.
Yeah, there
okay.
are 3. Okay, so we have one of them here, and this is the bats. And there's 3 different options for designs, but there's 2 different options for pieces. So there's a 30 piece and a 50 piece. This one's a 30 piece. This one's a 50 piece. And as you can see, there are 2 different designs on them. And then the third one that we don't have right now is the pangolin, which is like the third one. This is one of like the failed designs, but we do have like actual pangolin puzzles. And so, yeah, and then here is the, unfortunately, I don't have one of the bat prints with me right now, but here's the capybara print. And then, so that's what gets eventually made into these puzzles.
Nice.
How much are each like size? What's the price difference for the 30 piece and the 50 piece?
Because the labor process is pretty much the same for each of the pieces, the only difference is how many pieces we're cutting it into. They're all the same price, and all of them are basically 8.5 inches by 11 inches.
Okay.
Nice.
So tell us about the process of people, when you guys started getting this together, your guinea pigs, the testers. Are we talking the student whose dad kind of said, hey, well, has he been a tester? And I'm not sure because obviously he's losing his vision. The Braille might be a challenge. He may not be a Braille user. Talk to us a little bit about those who've been involved to test the product so far before sales happened.
We're trying to outreach to some communities to get our puzzles to them, but because we had such a tight production timeline, our first trade show happened on the 25th, and we pretty much only had our finished product by the 24th because of how, I guess, strenuous it was. Yeah. It was a lot of sleepless nights, but we got it to happen. So on the day of our product launch, we had quite a few people come by and feel the puzzles. We weren't unfortunately able to get them to people who specifically knew Braille, simply because we couldn't get the product in time. But we have made some sales to people who are able to read Braille, and they've given us some positive feedback, such as they're able to read some of the prints on the top. We did get some feedback on our production or instruction cards that come with the Braille. It's just that some of the Braille might be too close together. So we're always going through a process of revision and just quality check.
That's fun because you can do so much online, and this is what I think I'm kind of curious, because I know some of our listeners and viewers are stopping saying, well, man, how do a bunch of students that don't know Braille get Braille on a product and test it? And there is so much you can do online to where you're learning and you're looking at how it would be done and getting those comment too close, printed off to the, and I think that that's really a credit to you guys for being able to use the resources that we know are out there, but some of us may, how the heck are they doing that? And you got White Cane Week coming up, so maybe places that you guys can take them and sell a few of them. This is really good. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, get them out to the fairs and stuff.
And thank you.
I want clarification, or at least more description on how you put these puzzles together. So you talked about these instruction cards. Can you just give us the verbatim of that? How do the Aenigma puzzles work?
So I guess basically they come in these small boxes, and every puzzle comes with a QR code instruction that has been embossed with Braille that says scan QR code for instructions. So basically, once those QR codes are scanned, they lead to an audio file that reads off basically instructions for how the puzzle works. So every single puzzle piece has a Braille word on it, and then once you put the puzzle together completely, it reads out a poem from left to right and top to bottom. And basically this poem is just a description of both the design on the puzzle, and it's a cute like story behind the kind of what's happening visually.
That's so cute.
And on the
love that.
yeah, they were all wonderfully designed by our VP of marketing. She's she's just a phenomenal artist. I couldn't compliment her enough, but she spent so much time and work designing these designs and then putting thought into them. And then on the back of every single puzzle piece, there's one dot in the bottom right hand corner just to help with orientation, just so they know which one is top and which one is bottom.
Guys, this is wicked. Like, there's so many levels to this puzzle. Yep. It's not
and what a business, right? Like you're sitting here listening. For a moment, I forgot and said, "Oh, okay. Well, what the VP works? Oh, I know it. Yeah, but you guys have this total business together. Oh,
there's
man.
There's poetry. Who wrote the poetry, or like who designed how the wording would go?
Yeah, and chose the words.
Yeah, let's do
it. Oh, nice.
That's so cool. Like, honestly, and then you have, what'd you say, 3 different versions of these puzzles, so it makes for beautiful gift ideas, all the above. How come you went with this version of an accessible puzzle? Like, there are other ways you could have gone, right? And I'm sure you've brainstormed and kind of crossed out different ideas, like making a puzzle accessible. There's tactile ways, there's universal design, there's, I don't know, I'm sure, like, what do you call it, textures that you could have gone with, etc. So how come you ended up going with this one?
So like the textures is a really like good point, because that was originally what we were gonna do. We were trying to like emboss like along like the lines of the actual illustrations. The only problem that we found with that was it was really hard to find a printer that was like, first of all, cheap, and second of all, like actually able to print on the specific type of chipboard that we were using. So we kind of scrapped that idea because it just like wasn't really possible within our scope, because our scope is kind of limited. But the reason why we selected Braille is because, and we selected specifically UEB one, is just because like there's more like avenues for like opportunity with being able to like have someone either learn Braille from a puzzle, or to have someone who already knows Braille be able to like do like a jigsaw puzzle. Yeah. Because what we saw online, what we saw online was that there were like a lot of puzzles that had to do with Braille, but none of them were jigsaw puzzles. So none of them were like the classic ones that you like see in your mind where there's like an intersection between 2 pieces and you put together and make a picture.
I used to fake do jigsaw puzzles, by the way, so this is hilarious.
Me too. I used to just play with the pieces and just say, hey, this would fit into this. Cool.
And then I'm like, I know it's not, you can tell the difference between the right side and the wrong side, but you never knew if you were just putting random puzzles that accidentally
and
fit
where they go, or if they're sitting in the middle of the puzzle board. And I think that's what people, because as a child you want to be able to do it. As an adult you want to be able to, hey man, other people I know are doing this. So my imaginary question is, so a company comes along and says, hey you guys, we see this puzzle you're creating for these blind people, vision impaired people, whatever, but how could we get in on this? What things would you guys say? Because we talk about limitations, the printer, the chipboard. Is there anything else you discovered as you were doing it that if we didn't have some of these limitations and the sky's the limit, what would you say the top 3 things that you would make different? And maybe if that company comes along and I want to buy it, you would make that recommendation to them.
I guess one of them is just to try to reduce the labor, because we've had to meet for weeks and hours just to emboss the puzzles by hand. Yeah. So there's a lot of that. I did try to contact some companies who did embossing on signage, but it wasn't within our price range. So if we could do that, that'd be really excellent. And also just like, because material cost is like a big thing too. If we were just able to like get bigger pieces so that we can make bigger puzzles or like a deeper complexity, or like be able to print like the textures on top as well as the Braille, that would be like an even like nicer product.
The reality is always cost, right? Like you can have incredibly big ideas and you're like, this is going to be the most wicked thing. And then you're like, okay, but you got to scale it down for cost and
dial it back.
You got to dial everything
And how do you
back.
get away with it? How much does it cost if right now, if somebody hears this, says, oh my gosh, I'd love one. And what are our choices again? What are the 3 puzzles once again?
So the 3 puzzles are the bat, the bat, the capybara, and the pangolin. And so those 3 designs come in, each of them come in 30 and 50 pieces. So there's technically 6 options of the 3 designs. So
what is a pangolin?
A pangolin, if you search them up, they're native to Asia. And they basically, they look like, they're kind of like armadillos, but they're longer. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, how long are we going to pretend like we know what a pangolin is around the table, guys? Ask me.
That one person would ask.
Well, speak for yourself. Nizreen knew what the heck it was.
Right.
Right, Niz? Yeah, I'm sure.
Right, of course. No doubt.
Guys,
It
this
was
is
a
really
cross
cool.
between an armadillo and a penguin.
Sure, we knew that. We knew. Thank you guys so much for sharing the details. And it sounds like you guys had a really fun time, maybe some tough times as well, but it's a really cool project. So hopefully it succeeds, and hopefully you get a lot of community feedback continuing forward, and you feel inspired to continue doing this kind of work.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We were chatting with Safran and Pearl. They're young entrepreneurs with innovative and bright ideas. It's really exciting kind of talking to young people about their businesses, and obviously seeing that they're logistically putting it to work as well with the support of others. If you are interested in getting a puzzle for yourself or your friend, perhaps as a Valentine's Day gift, especially because it's poetic, you can visit their website at enigmapuzzle.myshopify.com. That's another collaboration, Shopify. So Enigma is spelled AENIGMA puzzle.
Awesome. I remember Junior Achievement, and I think it's so amazing when you see something like this, a project, and the headspace these people have gotten into to do something like this. Also, I'll note that the Toronto people know about the capybara because of when the one got loose in High Park and was quite a celebrity for a little while. About what, 6 years ago, 7 years ago?
So cute.
Yeah,
that's what I hear.
It's really. And the pangolin. That's something you learned about today. Do you know what a bat is?
Yes.
Yeah, you didn't ask.
Not
She
in person.
hesitated.
Yeah, she
hesitated.
Only because I
Thought it
was
was
wondering
trick.
if you're trying to ask me if I've encountered a
Trick.
bat in real life.
No.
You have to think about it really.
She thought it was a trick
What's
question.
a bat? Isn't that the ride at Wonderland? Get out of here, guys.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was hoping you'd say. Yeah, the ride at Wonderland. Come on. Stay awake, Kelly. Either of you belong to anything like Junior Achievement in school or any of this kind of business type classes? And I'm asking for a friend, Kevin Shaw.
No. I love hearing
mine
about
was
these
so
kinds of
lame.
things, though.
We had like little
had science fair
projects
and
science fair, and we'd compete against each other, and I would think, wow, I'm not as creative as I thought. But this puzzle is like amazing. I think they're gonna have a bright future ahead of them.
I love it. I
Especially
would
because
love
they're being
somebody
taught
to
the
pick this
skills.
up. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
You really want them to sell their company, huh? For big bucks.
Well, yeah. I mean, I got lost when we get talking about.
He's hoping for it.
Well, yeah, and I got forgetting for a moment. It's Junior Achievement. Calm down. Oh, yeah, right. Like, I mean, I think what they're doing is great, but when you start talking about the CEO and stuff, it's like, maybe you guys will get taken over. But yeah. So, really fascinating, really fun. I really get a kick out of it. Like you said, it's just so neat just to see what people get to do and how serious they're taking it. That's what I thought was so great. Check out our podcast. Subscribe using your favorite podcast platform of choice. When you're in there, maybe give us a rating and review. Please also subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can enjoy great content from our program. We'd always love to hear from you in any way too. We'll talk about our social media feed that you can join and also follow along with us and respond to the program. Lindsey Mazza practiced law as her first career, but after leading into her disability identity and power, she made a decision that would change her life forever. Lindsey, got to give you a big welcome to Kelly and Company. Thanks for making time for us and joining us on the show today.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Nice to see all of you.
Well, you can tell we have a lot of fun, and of course, we have lots of questions because we're nosy. Can we start with your background story about, when you left law and everything? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah. Being born with a physical disability, it was something that I never spoke about. And being an advocate was baked into me out of necessity from a young age. And having no's thrown my way consistently, it just became this armor that I built up around myself. I just created this protection. If I didn't talk about it, then it didn't exist, and I would just work harder than everybody else and figure out how to succeed. And I did that, and I went to law school and was hired by a big law firm out of law school. And by 29, I quit that job and then became a founding partner of a new law firm. And it was a very successful career. And my dad, who also had a physical disability and also had a legal career, he was a lawyer and then a judge, passed away in October of 2023. And it was when I lost him that the world really just shifted for me. At his funeral, I was hearing all of these messages from people about how much he had impacted them, how significant a role he had played in their lives, being an advocate for people with disabilities, but also just being a representative of success and showing people how anybody can really achieve anything. It just might look different. And speaking at his funeral, sort of the Band-Aid got ripped off for me, which sounds crazy because it is a visible difference, but I was forced to talk about it as I listened to people talk about his journey, and his journey was very parallel to me. So that was a huge shift for me. And it was, apart from the obvious difficulty of losing a parent, especially one that has such a similar life journey, I wasn't happy in law for a long time. And then by January of last year, 2024, my mental health wasn't good. My physical health wasn't good. And, I was waking up in the mornings thinking it would be easier to be dead than to show up to work every day. And that was a rock bottom moment for me, but also a miracle moment because I'd always been an intuitive person. And when I lost my dad, I started to be able to hear him, and I was receiving such clear messages from him that in the depths of my depression, I kind of hit my knees and I was like, Dad, universe, show me what I need to do. How do I move forward? And that's when things really started to shift for me. And I knew that I needed to show up in the world differently, and leave law in order to do that.
Did you and your dad have a connection very much like where you could talk about things, where you could, explore, especially having, the similar situation with the limb difference? Yes.
I mean, in terms of my family, they were, my biggest advocates. My dad, certainly we would have these conversations, but it kind of was limited to, my mom, my dad, my brother, and me, right? It was like a close network and a safe space. And yes, we talked about those things, but it wasn't, I don't think my dad, I would always say I wanted to leave law, right? And while he was alive, he got that. But what's fascinating is this new relationship that I've developed with him, after he passed, has really propelled me in a different direction. He was always my supporter, but I don't know that if when he was alive, he would have understood this journey that I'm taking now, which is really interesting.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it feels very familiar to just kind of take the path that was carved for you, either consciously or unconsciously, right? But you really did follow in your father's footsteps, at least from my perspective. And even if you felt like you were not necessarily enjoying this career, this path, you knew you could do it. Like, it was an option that you were good at, that was painted for you since you were young, and like, I guess you were rooted in it. But did you ever think about what else was out there. Now, like you mentioned and explained that at the depths of it, at your rock bottom, you're like, I got to get out of here and do something else. But when you were doing law, were you able to fantasize or think about other options?
I absolutely did, and I explored those things, just from from a passion place, like passion projects, leaning into wellness and mindfulness, but I couldn't put the pieces together to understand what that shift would be. And I remember, and it's funny how you block things out, but through this healing journey, I remember being little. I was probably like grade 1 or grade 2, and telling a teacher that what I wanted to be when I grew up was a motivational speaker, which is really ironic, because I had repressed that. Because in order to be a motivational speaker, I would have to talk out loud about how, what my story is. So I couldn't see that way forward for myself, because I was continuing to reject that part of myself.
Yeah, so opposite. Lindsey, what then started to happen? I mean, fast forwarding, you start creating the podcast, Hiding in Plain Sight. What was the bridge to that from leaving law?
Yeah, so it was one of these things that I woke up at 3 a.m. with this idea, hiding in plain sight, in my mind. And that seems to be when I have these brainiac moments, is in the middle of the night. And I thought, hiding in plain sight, what is that? Is that a book title? And I had toyed with the idea of a podcast, and I thought, what I realized during my healing journey, and when I learned to sit with myself and stop rejecting that part of me, the thing that became clear was the aspect of me that I was so afraid to talk about was actually the thing that had always given me the loudest and strongest voice. And I thought, you know what? I want to be on stage. I know I will be on a stage someday. Until I get there, I need to create my own stage. And a podcast is a platform where I'm able to speak openly about being different, about truly hiding in plain sight. And I know that that's relatable to everybody, whether you have a disability or not. There is always a part of ourselves that we carry shame around, and we're too afraid to show up in the world with. And once we face that part of ourselves, once we accept that part of ourselves, then everybody discovers what their superpower is.
I love that. What message would you share with others who might be feeling like you once did, looking to find their authentic identity or purpose?
I think the main message is that there are no shortcuts. And the people that you admire and follow for doing these brave things and living in their authenticity, it was not easy for them. They did the work. They felt those feelings. They persevered. You can't get around them. You have to move through it. And I think that, it's very difficult. And the key to that is to make sure that you have the right people around you to support you on that journey. And often that looks like cultivating that community for yourself by hiring mentors or aligning yourself with people who inspire you, because typically the people in your immediate circle, whether that's close family or friends, won't quite understand or be able to support you in the way that you need to when you're wanting to shift so dramatically, because of course they just want to make sure that you're okay, right? They're going to show up and say, what do you mean you're going to quit your job? How are you going to pay your bills? But sometimes the bravery and the courage is what's needed to make that shift.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing you point out, because when you're sitting in the mud, you don't like you said, we're all looking for the shortcuts. We're like, we want to get out of this headspace. We want to be at that next part, whatever that is. Because sometimes you can tell, like, I don't want to be here anymore, but you don't even know what that next stage is like for you. And it is tough because it's literally one foot in front of the other, 1 hour at a time. And
the transition is tough. Yeah, I can imagine.
Exactly. So how do you go from there, because I'm sure that you can still remember what that feels like, and maybe it still sometimes feels like that, to I can do this?
Yeah, I think that you really have to have faith that when you find your purpose and you keep putting one foot in front of the other, that the path will be laid out for you. And I think that that is the most difficult part of this journey, because you can't control the how, right? All you can hold your dream and you can understand where you want to be, but the journey to there is often, it's going to surprise you. So you have to have faith and just keep following the breadcrumbs as they get laid out for you.
Lindsey, fantastic words. Thanks for making time. Good luck going forward. We'll look for you on that stage. Lindsey Mazza, one-to-one coaching, energy healing, public speaking, podcasting, the list goes on and on. You can visit her website if you'd like to and learn about her business. LindseyMazza.com, LINDSEY, of course, MAZZA. Please, and that's .com. Check things out. I thank Ramya and Nisreen for joining us on the show today. And folks, you can check us out. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Kelly & Co. AMI, and we'd love to hear from you. On our next program, moving your body is not always the most comfortable thing, folks. We chat about the challenges and experiences with Christine Malik, and Mary Mamalidi is here with her latest and greatest Super Bowl snack ideas. Fedora's off to you. Have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in to Kelly & Company. Follow us on all social media, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more.